Hey, friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. So we're back at it with a bunch of your hot takes. I went back to the old thread and grabbed a bunch of these, but I'm going to need more. So drop your hot takes in the comments below, or maybe I'll do a new community thread. We're going to kick these off with this one here from Stephen James. Says Braun Strowman was never main event material. He just got over because Roman was so unpopular at the time. I kind of disagree with this one because if you remember back in 2017, Vince McMahon had sort of nailed exactly what Braun Strowman should have been. I think he could have been at least, I mean, he was a short time main eventer, but I feel like the just destruction level Braun Strowman, I think would have been good enough for a main eventer. I kind of feel like the guy was smart enough to have the chops to be an actual character as well. It'd be kind of interesting if he's able to make a return, whether or not he wants to or medically, physically is able to, if they're able to do something with him now under Triple H. I don't know. I think that main event material, I think that it was possible. I kind of feel under Vince McMahon, we were never going to get that under Vince McMahon, but under Triple H, I think the ingredients are there. I think the ingredients might be there. Let's see here. Jason, the PPW sound guy, says, Hook, as much as I think he's great, has plateaued. In AEW, he absolutely has plateaued. It kind of a bummer. They had something with sort of the mystique of Hook, and Tony Khan really didn't know what to do with him. He's still FTW champion, keeping that title in the family. But I don't, I kind of feel like he needs to change the scenery. Either go to, Japan, or go to Mexico, or I feel like he should go to NXT, to be honest with you, and they can really explore what he can do. But while in AEW, I just don't think that he's going to go much further than he's at now. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. Let's see here. Gustavo says, SmackDown is the third best WWE show right now. We've got another SmackDown hot take that I actually kind of agree with. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really watch NXT, but so many of you have sung its praises. I still can't get over how dog shit that venue looks. I'm not a fan of the crowd that they have there. I feel like they take the product for granted. That being said, they do have some really good talent there. A mixture of people who are from that 2021 class, along with some NXT UK people and a couple like indie wrestlers. I think they got a good crew there. I want to see them go tour though. If they tour and are able to mix up how they do their promo stuff, I'll be kind of more interested in NXT. I kind of feel like they need a bit of a visual overhaul, and it'll be more up my alley. But in my opinion, SmackDown's the second best WWE show right now because I think Raw has been really good lately. It doesn't feel like a 3-hour mess anymore, and it's more focused. You got a lot of Rhea Ripley, which nobody can complain about that. And I really like Raw these days. But SmackDown's all right. But there's a take a little bit later on that I kind of agree with. Let's move on here to Nate. Says that MJF needs to leave AEW to truly be considered a megastar in wrestling. AEW isn't a place where a new name can get over into Rock Cena territory, which is where he should be. I think he's still pretty young, but I kind of agree. This is what I agree with. This element I agree with. I don't think necessarily it's you can't become a major star in AEW. I think it's WWE has inherently a bigger platform. Right now, they have a much better booker with Triple H over Tony Khan. And on top of that, at a certain point, no matter where you are, if you've done everything there is to do, then you got to go someplace else. Cody had kind of done everything he could do in AEW with the way he booked himself out of the world title picture, and he was playing with the weird heel face dynamic. Goes to WWE, and his story, along with how they presented him, sort of shot him up into the atmosphere. And because, on top of that, into the stratosphere, rather. And plus, Cody was just fit for WWE. I think MJF is too. I don't know if it's this. Here's my thing. I think MJF's doing really, really good work in AEW right now. He's like the one thing that's over the top, really, really good. I feel like he needs to sign like a 2-year contract with AEW, because once he does that, by the time those 2 years are up, then he's definitely going to be like, You bring this guy into WWE, he's going to be instant main event material. He's going to be the guy. Right now, I think he probably would be a pretty big deal. But if he waits 2 years, I think at that point he will definitely maxed out what he can do in AEW for that time and then come to WWE and he'll be like a huge, huge star. Plus, in 2 years, Roman Reigns is not going to be champion anymore unless they go for the Bruno record, which is a possibility. What's up next here? Solding? 5 Olding says, there's no difference between Cody's booking and the Super Cena booking that everyone craps all over. Au contraire. There is a difference. And that difference is people still really like Cody. Now, if they turn, it'll be interesting to see if they can pivot with Cody, whether that's a heel turn or some other story beat that keeps him popular. But people were turning on Cena fairly early into his like superstar rise. And I feel like that's not happening with Cody. So I don't know. I think that there is in terms of the actual booking, because I know that's what you're talking about. You're talking about the actual booking of the character. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I guess we'll see. I don't know. Maybe you're onto something there. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd responds to Cody 3 years from now. Let's see here. Here we go. Andrew Sharp says, hot take, SmackDown hasn't really been must-watch TV as opposed to just some great segments that could be watched later on YouTube. I kind of agree with this, and I'll tell you why. There have been times when usually I watch Raw live, but sometimes I don't. When I don't watch Raw live, I still pay attention to social media. I still get on Twitter. And I'll watch clips that make me want to watch Raw even more. I'll be like, oh crap, this is kind of cool. I want to see what happened around this. I noticed on Fridays, because I almost never watch SmackDown live. On Fridays, I get on Twitter just to see what's going on, and I'll catch clips from SmackDown. Those clips from SmackDown usually are enough to keep me up to date on what's going on SmackDown. So I kind of feel like this is true. For some reason, I think because Raw has more time, more stuff happens, there's more moving pieces. SmackDown's sort of like big segment, big segment, big segment, big segment, as opposed to Raw, which all the stories are connected. And it makes me wonder if that's intentional. If Triple H is taking Raw and like, this is the one we have 3 hours, so we weave all these stories in and out of each other. Whereas SmackDown, it's shorter, it's 2 hours, it's on network, and you need something that's more segment to segment to segment to segment. Maybe that's intentional. I'm really kind of curious about that, but I kind of feel like, Andrew, you're onto something here. Interesting. Anyways, let's see here. Black Nerd says War Games matches are messy and difficult to watch or follow. I'm not a big fan of War Games matches, to be completely honest with you. I think Black Nerd is exactly right here. I know we're all supposed to geek out when they say War Games, but I kind of feel like they're overrated. Either they do spots that are way too dangerous, like Jericho falling off the top, which I didn't like, or Tommaso Ciampa giving Adam Cole an air raid crash from the top, or they're just kind of there. It's just a mess. It's just like 2 cages with like 10 people, and there's like 5 individual matches going on, and sometimes they team up, and there's always the spots. They do like, spots, and it's, I don't know. I'm not going to say they're boring. It's just not really my thing. I don't think they're the most compelling things in the world. But I think this is actually probably pretty right. Messy and difficult to watch or follow. That doesn't necessarily make them bad. It just sort of makes them like, I could do without it. I'll be honest with you. I could do without it. I kind of feel like the straight up elimination is a little bit more interesting with the old school Survivor Series elimination matches, because then it's like, oh man, now we're down to 4 people versus 2 people. Is it going to be down to 4 versus 1, or is it going to be 3 versus 2 and then 2 versus 2? Like, I think there's a lot more of a story you can tell there. I don't know. Good point. I like it. Bob Lob's Blob Blog says the Styles Clash is a bad finisher. I can't tell what's supposed to be what it's supposed to be hurting. The head moves upward while the body falls, so it's not the head. Maybe it's supposed to hurt the knees. They fall the farthest. Second, it takes so long and is so awkward to set up. Breaks my suspension of disbelief that it could work in a fight. Bob, I think you got a point there. This is one of those moves where it's like, it's kind of convoluted, but AJ Styles does it and he's kind of awesome. And so people just, and also it's got like the reputation because it used to actually, like, I think 2 people got really hurt doing the Styles Clash, which is crazy because he's been doing it for a long time now. But like, it's got a reputation as, oh, this move's dangerous, but it is totally a very silly move that just looks like somebody, they're upside down and then like their knees come down and their body follows them on their stomach. And it's like, really, that's what it's supposed to be? But that's pro wrestling. That's pro wrestling. But yeah, I kind of feel you on that one. But I love AJ Styles, so I'm not going to call it a bad finisher. But I see your point. Mikey7G says Impact is a better name than TNA. Yeah, I agree with that. It's a purely nostalgia thing. If Impact was always Impact, and then all of a sudden they decided, hey, everybody, we're going to change our name to TNA, Total Nonstop Action, fans would be like, the fuck are you talking about? What, TNA? That sounds horrible. What a terrible idea that is. But it's nostalgia. Doesn't mean a damn thing. Looking forward to seeing it, though. I want to see if they improve the production at all. Let's see here. Chandler Burleson says, Sting is kind of cringe. He just copies ideas from other things. I've never been a fan, but I'm glad he knows when to hang it up. Wow. This guy does not like, is this Christian? Is this Christian's burner account? He just copies ideas from, I mean, I guess you're just talking about the Crow and then Joker Sting, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I think Sting's kind of badass. I don't know why. You would have thought that, because I was a big fan of the Crow back in the day, and then I got into wrestling in 97 when Crow Sting was at like his peak. And you would have thought that I've been like, this is stupid, but I actually thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was a blatant ripoff, but I thought it was kind of cool because Sting is cool. I don't know. I kind of disagree with this one. I don't think he's cringe. He just copies ideas from other things. I think as a gimmick, yeah, but like, I don't know, as a character, I think he's kind of cool. Alex Payne says Roman Reigns has done more damage than good with his title run. The belts feel important, but so many of his challengers don't feel important after they're done with the feud, as there feels like a solid ceiling on them. Oh, I disagree. I hard disagree on this one. His challengers don't feel important. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes. I kind of feel like I understand I think I understand what you're saying in that none of those guys can live up to Roman. So when Roman's gone, none of them are going to live up to that. None of them are going to be as big as Roman Reigns until there's another guy who is as big as Roman Reigns. Now, whether that's going to be one of his challengers or not, I think that might be the point of this hot take. But I do think that, I don't know, I get it. It's like saying, okay, well, after Hogan, there's Bret Hart, there's Shawn Michaels, there's, a bunch of people who couldn't live up to Hulk Hogan, but eventually there was a John Cena, eventually there was a Stone Cold Steve Austin, eventually there was a Rock. Like, eventually there is somebody. But I don't know, I kind of feel like that. But like, the bottom line is, most of the time after Roman's challengers have been done with Roman, they all skyrocket in popularity. Like, all the names that I just mentioned are people that he fought over the past year. And all those names are wildly popular right now. So I don't know. I kind of feel like that's not true at all. More damage than good. I don't think you could say that, because if you look at like the merch sales of guys like Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, Jey Uso now probably sells a lot of merch. I feel like Roman, there being in a program with Roman is a prestige spot, and it kind of catapults them up to the next level. I think that the proof is in the pudding on that one. The anime fan says the hardcore title was the only good looking title from the Attitude Era. Wow. What? The hardcore title was the only good looking title from the Attitude Era? I don't know who's going to agree with that one. I'm kind of curious what titles the anime fans like. I mean, obviously they're very different from what's going on now with the titles, and maybe the anime fans really likes the titles they get going on now. I'll be honest, I actually really like the network logo title. I think it looks badass. I think it looks current. It looks modern. It looks good. It's good representation for the company. I'll be honest, I'm not even that huge of a fan of the Winged Eagle title. That was the title I had growing up. Big Gold Belt's another. That right there. That's the best title. Big Gold Belt. That's prime. What did I say was the best title in that video? Did I say it was the Winged Eagle? I hope not. Let's see here. Centrifuge. We'll end on this one. Says, a friend of mine says, so I generally like Steven Larson. Oh, this isn't good. But I'm watching WrestleJuice, and Steve is doing a bracket, and in back-to-back sentences, he says, Edge is boring, and he likes Kevin Nash. I like Kevin Nash for a lot of reasons. I'll be honest, though. Here's the caveat here. I did not watch Kevin Nash when he was Diesel. I was not watching wrestling at the time. It's entirely possible that Diesel was super boring. In fact, I can probably guarantee he was super boring. Once he got to WCW, the thing that I liked about Kevin Nash is that he clearly was a guy who was getting paid a shit ton of money to just show up, and he had that kind of attitude about him, and that's something I always liked about him. He came off as very genuine. He wasn't doing a, let me tell you something, brother. He came off as so genuine, as actually kind of a cool guy. I never got that from Edge. And I watched a lot of Edge's career, and I was never an Edge guy. I liked some of the rated R superstar stuff. I liked, the cash in on Cena. I liked the stuff with Lita, I guess. But I don't know. It all just seemed too much. Like, I never really bought into that guy as what he said he was. But here's the thing about Edge, he seems like a very nice person. He seems like a good guy. And so I want him to be happy. I want him to do well. But I just always found him boring. But WCW Kevin Nash, get at her. I love WCW Kevin Nash. I thought he was badass. Because, he just didn't give a shit. You could tell he just legitimately didn't give a shit. He was like, yeah, they're giving me a lot of money. And, they kind of have their heads up their asses. And so I'm just along for the ride. But I always liked that about Kevin Nash. I thought that was cool. Anyways, hopefully I didn't offend your friend Centrifuge. Hopefully they'll still watch Going in Raw and WrestleJuice. Anyways, that's going to do it for your hot takes. I'm going to do another community thread because I love these. I love going through your guys' thoughts about pro wrestling. I think it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you enjoy me talking about them. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate it. Check out this video over here. Till next time, we'll see you around.